Tonight, we bring you a special exclusive interview with Coach Shaka Smart.
Plus, 'tis the season. Men's basketball is right around the corner.
Thank you for joining us. Golden Eagle Sports Report starts right now.
Slam! Dunk! Oh, that's a poster.
Live from the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio at Marquette University, this is Golden Eagle Sports Report.
Marquette gets the rebound, and the champions have gone down.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Adrian Fraga.
And I'm Ben Ward.
As basketball season rapidly approaches, there's still a lot we don't know about the Golden Eagles.
As the 109th season of Marquette basketball tips off Monday, MUTV assistant sports producer Brian Wilson had the opportunity to sit down with head coach Shaka Smart. Take a listen.
At Marquette University, so does the energy on campus as Monday, the men's basketball team tips off against Albany. There's a lot of change this year with the key losses of Cam Jones, David Joplin, and Stevie Mitchell. There's a lot of questions, and we have the men's head basketball coach Shaka Smart to answer those questions for us. Hi Shaka, welcome in. How are you?
I'm great, thanks for having me.
Of course. We're going to kind of start with those key losses. Who needs to step up for this team? You talked about Chase Ross being that guy at the scrimmage. What are your expectations for his jump, especially on the leadership side?
Well, Chase is a senior now. Ben Gold is a senior now. So starting with those two, we're definitely expecting them to take a step forward from a leadership standpoint and from a playing standpoint. They've both been a part of a lot of wins over the course of their first 3 years. Having Sean Jones back on the court is big for us as well. He underwent a long process of coming back from the injury he sustained a couple of years ago. So those three are the foundation, and then we've got a bunch of guys that are first, second, and third year guys that are still becoming and figuring out who they are. But every day they're working to be 1% better. And one of the things that goes hand in hand with graduation of guys like Stevie, Cam, and Jop is there's an opportunity, there's a void for others to step into. And our job as coaches is to help them do that.
You have kind of used those opportunities, sticking with the guys that you've had. And I personally, a lot of people are like, well, why don't you go to the transfer portal? I like the development that you do have. It's the professional development, not only the growth of them on the court, but them as a lot of coaches, their job at college is to grow them as men. And why is that so important to kind of preach to the parents that trust you to show what you've done? And you've produced NBA talent at this level without them going one and done.
Well, you know, for me, it goes back to when I was your age and in college. I was raised by a single mom, and really my coaches put their arm around me and worked hard with me on my own development, first and foremost as a man, and then obviously as a player. Those things are not mutually exclusive. If you want to become the very best player that you can, you have to grow in areas like resiliency, communication, mental toughness, your ability to be a great teammate, your ability to be receptive, your response to adversity and prosperity. Those are all personal qualities that also relate heavily to who you are as a player. And one of the reasons that we do it the way we do is we feel like we've had really good success with the young guys we have that have become old guys. Tyler Kolek, Oso Ighodaro, Omax Prosper, Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin. Those guys all went from not necessarily these household names in college basketball to guys that became big-time winners. And, you know, a lot of them, really all of them, went on to professional basketball careers.
You talked about coaches in your life that kind of helped you become the coach who you are. Is there a certain coach that was that person for you?
Well, first and foremost, my mom, and she was an unofficial coach. She never played basketball or had anything to do really much with sports. But, you know, she taught me the vast majority of what I try to work with these guys with as people. And then I would say my first college coach, I played for two college coaches, and the first one, his name was Bill Brown. And he put his arm around me and he put a lot of faith and confidence into me. he also, when he left, he told me, hey, you should go into coaching when you're done playing. So he planted a seed in my mind that obviously has a lot to do with where I am today.
You mentioned earlier that third guy that we haven't seen in a while, and that's Sean Jones. He had his injury in 2024. He's coming off his injury, redshirted a year ago, and now will be back for you guys, which is huge for the program. What have you seen with his agility on the court in practices and scrimmages, and then also his leadership with this young team that, like we've mentioned, like you've talked about in other interviews, we don't know a lot about, but the growth is going to be key?
He's moving well. Yeah, he looks great. He's as fast as they come, getting up and down the court. It's a very fast team. I think that Marquette students and Marquette fans are really going to enjoy watching us play, because between Sean, one of our freshmen, Nigel James Jr., and Chase Ross, we got three guys that can get the ball off the floor as fast as anyone. Sean's been terrific on the leadership side. Honestly, he was the best leader on last year's team, but it caused a little bit of a, disjointed feeling out there because he wasn't playing, but he was leading, and we maybe needed some of the guys that were playing to lead more. But Sean's been great with his voice, and excited for him to finally get back on the floor. It will be about 21 months, in between the last time he played at Fiserv and when we open up on the 3rd.
Yeah, we're all very excited for that tip-off. For those fans out there, talking to them, what can they expect from this class outside of the ESPN Top 100 with Nigel James and Michael Phillips? What can they expect from those other new guys that are going to step into a huge role for this team?
Well, we've got a group of 5 guys in our freshman class, and you really could count Josh Clark as well because he redshirted last year, so he has 4 years of eligibility. We have 2 that are redshirting currently in Ian Militic and Sheik Pearson. Those 2 have very, very bright futures. Sheik skipped his senior year in high school. Imagine that. Him and Mike Phillips both should be seniors in high school right now, but came early. So they're very, very young. But between Mike, NJ, and Adrian, those 3 guys have an opportunity, I think, to hit the ground running. They are young. They do have a lot to learn. Physically, there's some growth to still be made, although NJ and Adrian really have strong bodies for guards. And we're just excited about their receptivity. This is a group that can, I think, become a cornerstone group for us over the course of time and lay a foundation at Marquette for future teams to come.
Another team that you have compared this class to was another foundational group, the one that came in with you 5 years ago, and that Tyler Cullick transferred in with. You talk about the similarities, but I think a lot of people want to know what's the differences, what's the difference makers with this group?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, Stevie's group, those guys came in with 5 guys and ended up graduating with 3 scholarship guys plus Cam Brown, who was one of our walk-ons that's on our staff now. This group, I think, across the board, is maybe even more talented. Cam Jones obviously turned into one of the all-time leading scorers. Jop had a heck of a career, and so did Stevie. But I think this group even has more upside in time. The way we do it, though, it's not a microwave program, so it's not like we expect them to set the world on fire on day one. But I do think that you'll see a lot of positive basketball from the guys that contribute this year. And then in years to come, you'll see guys get better and better. There's a real commitment to culture. That's another similarity between this group and the group that we dubbed the Guardians. They care about each other. They care about the program. They truly are invested in our way, which is a commitment to relationships, growth, and victory. And it's fun to see them really build their relationships with one another and start to assert themselves with their teammates.
I'm here at Fiserv Forum for Marquette Basketball's open practice.
Smart for coming into the studio and talking with us. You can catch the full interview on this YouTube channel tomorrow morning. Coming up next on Golden Eagle Sports Report, how will MUBB's first years fare this season?
Plus, an appearance from our basketball analysts.
Stick around for all that and more after this quick break.
You told me not to talk to strangers. You told me not to cross the street without looking both ways.
You told me not to touch the stove.
You told me not to do drugs.
You told me not to drink and drive.
You gave me so many messages about how to stay safe. Why didn't you keep me safe by properly storing your gun?
Stem is precise, no margin for error.
Dare to forget that. Dare to have fun with it. Get weird with it. Dare to load their minds. Dare to explore. Dare to STEM. Learn more at She Can STEM.
Before we celebrate the freedom most Americans have, we must fight for the freedom all Americans deserve. Because all lives can't matter until Black lives matter.
Hello and welcome back to Golden Eagle Sports Report. Once again, I'm Adrian Fraga.
And I'm Ben Ward.
As men's basketball season looms, many questions remain about the new look Golden Eagles and the younger ones. Assistant sports producer Jake Dale brings us more.
I'm here at Pfizer Forum for Marquette Basketball's open practice to figure out the simple question, is Marquette basketball back? To answer this question, I employed the help of head coach Shaka Smart for his thoughts on returning to the court on Monday.
For us, we've been at it practice-wise for roughly a month. It's gone fast. At the same time, the guys are really ready to play. They're ready for games. We got 11 days still, 7 or 8 practices still before we tip off. As you can see, we have a very different team than last year from the standpoint of personnel and also style of play.
The big three of Jones, Mitchell, and Joplin will be undoubtedly missed for the Golden Eagles, but Smart remains excited about continuing to play their brand of basketball.
We are still working to build the consistency to get the ball up the floor as fast as we possibly can. But with Nigel James, Sean Jones, and Chase Ross, those are 3 guys that can push the ball as fast as anyone. And so far this summer and fall, when we've outletted the ball to them, a lot of really good things have happened.
Although he missed Thursday's open practice, redshirt junior point guard Sean Jones, who missed all of last season, returns to his patented blazing speeds on Monday.
How I play, I'm very athletic, very explosive, very sudden. My movements are very explosive and they come randomly. I go from 0 to 60, 0 to 100, 0 to 80 at way different paces than most even elite athletes do. November 3rd, you're going to see me super ready, super serious, super ready to go. That's what you're going to see from me. It's not going to be no hesitation. There's not going to be any hesitation for me.
Along with Jones and the returning cast, Marquette's historic 2025 freshman class that was ranked 20th in the nation leaves plenty to be excited about. While Sheik Pearson and Ian Militich will redshirt their freshman year, names like Nigel James, Michael Phillips, and Adrian Stevens will be ones quickly learned by the Marquette faithful.
I mean, look, they're little pests, literally, they're little pests. So I'm very excited to see, when they get out there, them just, causing that disruption to all the guards that they have. They have a really high intensity of heat that they put on the ball, which is going to be very special for us because they'll have the other offensive team throwing the ball all around, and then that's when, us Hawks, our wings, even Royce, he loves to get his hands on the ball, so, just stealing those passes. So it should be a very great year for our team defensively this year, for sure.
Despite being ranked 5th in the preseason Big East rankings, the Golden Eagles are ready to soar. As for if Marquette basketball is actually back, only time will tell. Marquette men's basketball resumes on Monday at Pfizer Forum for a 7 p.m. tip versus Albany. For Marquette Wire Sports, I'm Jake Dale.
Ben, I don't know about you, but I'm just so stoked for this basketball season to start.
Look, for sure, Adrian, it is going to be such a fun season. Cannot wait to get back out there and see the Golden Eagles play.
Well, we'll see Monday. And speaking of Monday, coming up this week in Marquette basketball,
the women's basketball team enters the season ranked 2nd in the Big East preseason poll. The Golden Eagles were 9-5 in out-of-conference play a season ago.
Marquette takes on Winthrop, who was 16-15 a season ago, and the Golden Eagles now enter a season full of expectations with an early 11 a.m. tip-off on Monday at the Owl.
The men's basketball team tips off their season Monday at 7 p.m. against the Albany Great Danes at Pfizer Forum. Last season, the Great Danes campaign ended in the America East semifinals with a 91-78 loss to Bryant.
Meanwhile, the Golden Eagles look to bounce back to start 2025 after dropping the last 2 games of the season to St. John's and New Mexico.
Marquette takes the floor again Wednesday versus Southern. The Jaguars start their season at number 14 Arkansas on Monday. Marquette's Chase Ross, Ben Gold, and Sean Jones will be looked upon to step up in the second game of the 2025 season at 7 p.m. at Pfizer Forum.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for a GSR favorite. I'm going to have to hold these two back before we even get started the intro. But I'm welcoming in an MUBB analyst, Matthew Baltz, and Trevor Hilson to kind of give us a preview special show called This or That. So let's start right off with Marquette's 3 seniors last season. Cam Jones, Stevie Mitchell, and David Joplin all had a lasting impact on the program, obviously, helping the team make multiple tournament appearances. But which player will be missed more? Matt, I'll start with you.
I think the answer is undoubtedly Cam Jones. Jones was the leader of the team last year, leading scorer, All-American, NBA-level scorer. I think that was really the only case where you could say that, other than maybe David Joplin and Stevie Mitchell at times. But Cam was that consistent scorer for Marquette. And really, he was a leader on and off the court. He meant so much to the program. Second all-time leading scorer. He's one of the all-time greats that's ever worn a Marquette uniform. I don't really think that's debatable. So I think it's Cam without a doubt. And that's no knock on David Joplin and Stevie Mitchell because they were great players too. But Jones is an all-timer when it comes to Marquette basketball.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words right out of my mouth. Joplin's going to be missed for his three-point shooting stretches. I mean, he loves small gyms more than anybody I've ever known. Obviously, Stevie Mitchell is a clamps defender, but you're absolutely right. I mean, Cam Jones is by far and away the guy who's going to be missed most for this Marquette team. Leading scorer, All-American, you named it. I mean, he truly was a great embodiment. All 3 of those guys were great embodiments of Marquette basketball.
I mean, I kind of think it's a little disrespectful to Stevie Mitchell, the defense, the culture guy, and, I mean, David Joplin, the spacing, the three-point shooting, but, I mean, I get it. It's Cam Jones. I mean, he was drafted this season for a reason.
100%.
Well, moving on, Marquette will be led by Ben Gold and Chase Ross in their senior season now, but which player will actually make the greater impact? Trevor, let's start off with you this time.
Ben Gold at the power forward, guys. I'm telling you what. Marquette played Caden and Ben in the same lineup in the open scrimmage for a reason. Ben looked great moving off the ball, back cutting. He was really effective from the three-point line. He looked a lot more comfortable not being involved in the early pick and roll and getting his looks that way. I think when you move Ben to that 4 spot and he gets to play the role he's more comfortable in, he becomes a much more elite player. He can exploit mismatches, and he's going to be some player that I certainly want to watch this season.
All right, well, now I think that's a great take and a fair take. I'm going to go Chase Ross. Look, Chase, he's the guy in the first team, All Big East preseason. He's Marquette's most experienced player when you look at the group of seniors that they have. And he's just been a high-impact guy all 4 years at Marquette. I mean, you think about freshman year, he was dunking on guys at Seton Hall, blowing up the internet, right? Like, Chase Ross has been that kind of guy for Marquette all throughout his career. And here's the thing. I think this season, with him as the leading scoring option, it's going to be a roller coaster. You're going to have 30-point nights, and you might have some single-digit, 4, 8, 6-point nights, right? So with Chase, I think you're just going to have to ride the ups and downs. The one thing you know that's going to be constant is his athleticism and his defense. He's an NBA-level athlete. I don't think that's a question. So, if he can shoot the ball and play good defense, I think Marquette's going to be, in a pretty good spot. And look, I think Marquette goes as Chase goes this season. So he plays well with it. That's on defense, offense, leadership-wise too. I think Marquette's going to be rolling. So I think Chase is the highest impact senior they've got.
I mean, you said Marquette goes where Chase goes, so highest impact player, I guess.
Yeah.
Marquette's highly touted recruiting class finally makes their debut in the blue and gold, with the likes of Nigel James and Adrian Stevens having a standout preseason. Gentlemen, which player will turn more heads in their first year? Matt?
I'm going Nigel James. I think that he along with Sean Jones, has been described as one of the quickest players in America. And Sean got that comparison a lot early on in his career. So I think with Nigel, here's what you get. You get a crafty ball handler, a scrappy guard. As Demarius said earlier in this segment, he's pest. They're pests. Both those guys are. But I think, Nigel's a pest on defense. His shooting is getting there. He's got high upside as a shooter. And, he's a leader for a freshman. He's very vocal out there. He can command the floor as a guard. So I think that for those regions, Nigel is going to be the most impactful first year this season.
While I do have all my stock I possibly can in Nigel James, I got to go Adrian Stevens with this one. Look, they call him Stevie Mitchell 2.0 for a reason. He's going to be a similar carbon copy. He's a great three-point shooter, an elite defender. Like you said, he's a pest. They both are. But what I've seen from Stevens so far in the preseason, he can hit his open threes, which is something that Marquette struggled with last year, and they need a guy who can shoot. So combine that defense with the three-point shooting. You get a great 3-and-D guard off the bench. I think Stevens is going to have an immediate impact. Same with James, but I like Stevens a lot.
Three-point shooting is important. But
If I may, real quick, I don't think there's a bad option between the both. I think
agree.
Top 100 guys, like I don't
easily.
think that's a question that's like debatable.
It's a historic recruiting class for a reason.
Yes.
And moving on, last year, Royce Parham and Damiris Owens both made great impressions in their first season. But who do you think will actually see the floor more often this year? Trevor.
Yeah, look, I mean, these are two guys that came in off the bench against Iowa State last year and put up 28 combined points. Royce leading all Marquette scorers. There's so much potential with these two. And I want to talk about Royce Parham. Crack Sidewalks had a great preview about second-year bigs that Shaka's been able to make good players out of. Justin Lewis being one in his tenure here at Marquette. He should have won Player of the Year in 21-22. I'll debate anybody on that. I think Royce has the potential to be a Big East Sixth Man of the Year.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think he's spot on with Royce. Look, before I get to Royce, though, both Royce and Damiris at times showed last season that they've got high offensive prowess. However, I think it was their defense that Shaka kind of cited as reasons that maybe we didn't see them in the game later in. So I think with Royce, Royce is the answer here. I think Shaka has called him multiple times one of the most gifted scorers he's ever coached. I think the most gifted scorer, actually. And when you think about some of the guys Shaka Smart has had in the past couple of years here at Marquette, those first-round picks at Texas, and even down at VCU, he's had some very talented players. So I think with Royce, the scoring's there. It's really going to come down to his defensive prowess. And if that defense improves, I think he's got all Big East potential.
All Big East, we'll see. Marquette has multiple top 10 tests this season, including Big East opponents UConn and St. John's. But of these two teams, which will cause Marquette more trouble during conference play? Matt?
Yeah, it's brutal if you're a Big East opponent thinking about having to play these two teams, right? I mean, UConn, great team. Obviously, what Danny Hurley's done there, unbelievable. But I'm going to go St. John's here. I think that they had a great year last year, and I don't know that the nation, nationally, on a national level, really expected that. But they had a great year, and I think they got even better. They brought in Bryce Hopkins from Providence, who's a name that I'm sure Marquette fans are very aware of. Zuby Ejiofor comes back. He was one of the best big men in the entire country. He's just dominant force down there. Those are both guys that have destroyed Marquette historically when they're healthy. So that along with Ian Jackson, a guard from North Carolina that they brought in out of the transfer portal, I think they're going to have a really good team. They had a great year last year. They won both Big East titles, got a 2 seed, but came up short. I think they got better this year, and I think they're ready to take that next step. And by the way, did I mention Rick Pitino's coaching this whole operation? One of the greatest coaches in college basketball history, folks. So when you add all that together, St. John's going to be a very, very tough out.
Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, but thank you to both of you for coming on the show. But coming up in other sports, who will be college basketball's best first-year hooper? Plus, will the Golden Eagles be a tournament team? We'll find out after this break.
My answer was Creighton, by the way.
2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Joining me on the panel tonight is Ben Ward and Lucas Schulze, and let's get started. Monday, the college basketball season tips off every year. Some freshmen catch the nation's notice and even scouts from top NBA teams. This season, the freshman class is headlined by Cam Boozer of Duke, BYU star AJ Dibonza, and Kansas Jayhawk Darren Peterson. Which freshman will be the best in 2025 and poised to be the #1 overall pick in 2026? Lucas, what are your thoughts on this?
I'm going from the 6'9" guy from Miami, Florida, Cam Boozer. This guy was dominant in his first 2 exhibition games against UCF and Tennessee. First game, 33 points, 12 boards, 12 of 19 shooting, 63%, 4-7 from 3. And then Tennessee puts up a 20-20 game in just his second game in college. And you're like, well, I don't care about exhibition games. Go back to his high school stats. He won the Gatorade Player of the Year twice, averaged 23 points per game, 12 rebounds, won 4 straight state championships at Columbus High School, and then even won the national championship. And not to mention he had a 4.88 GPA in high school. Yeah, Lucas.
Yeah,
Lucas, that's a great pick right there. Devonta is very, very talented. BYU's going to be also a very solid team. But I'm going to
Darren Peterson from Kansas.
Very polished,
very high IQ player. He's a guard with size. He has a huge wingspan as well. 6'5", that wingspan is 6'10", by the way. So he's an insane athlete.
And scoring for him just looks effortless. I watched some of the highlights of the preseason game they played, and he just looks so natural out there with the ball. And I think with the team around him, Bill Self is a phenomenal coach. The Jayhawks are going to be the Jayhawks. The Kansas is going to be Kansas. They're going to win basketball games this year just like they always do. Great program they built around him. So I think Darren Peterson is also stepping in to a very good program already, and that's what's going to make him even a better player. And I can see him going a lottery pick as well out of this for this draft class. So, yeah, I got Darren Peterson. And I think the biggest thing, though, with him is his competitive on-ball defense. He is a stud and a scrappy defender, and that's what makes him so good.
I don't know. I might have to go with Lucas because Cam did have back-to-back double-doubles in the exposition games, and I just thought he had the most impressive performance out of the three. Moving on to the next topic, Marquette has made the NCAA tournament every year under Shaka Smart. The Golden Eagles lost Stevie Mitchell, David Joplin, and Cam Jones to graduation. Nigel James Jr., Adrian Stevens, and Michael Phillips II headlined the freshman class for Marquette. They joined key returners Chase Ross, Ben Gold, Sean Jones, and Royce Parham as big impact players for the Golden Eagles in 2025. Does the blue and gold have enough to go dancing for the 5th straight season? What are your thoughts, Ben?
Look, what does Shaka Smart say? What are the 3 big principles? Relationships, growth, victory. That is how you build a culture. And I think Marquette is one of the best teams in the nation when it comes to culture because Shaka Smart returned all of his players, right? There's no transfers out of this program. He didn't take any transfers in. This team is built off culture. And from my years of playing basketball when I was younger, you look up to a leader as a coach. And I think Shaka Smart is one of the best leaders in the nation for that reason. And that is the most important thing in college sports is having a good coach and a good leader because these are still young men at the same time. So you have to be able to develop these players. And I think this team is developed enough to make the tournament once again. I do have them around a 9 or 8 seed probably just because, like you said, you lose that experience with Chase Ross, Chase Ross, David Joplin. Those guys leave. But again, like I said, this is built off culture and growth. And these players are going to grow a lot of young talent. So I have them back in the tournament.
Unfortunately, we are running out of time. Thanks for the great discussion, and that's it for our roundtable debate. But don't go anywhere. MUTV General Manager and Executive Sports Producer Adrian Fraga presents us with the final take looking ahead to the men's basketball season. We'll be right back after this quick break.
I surrender.
All right, pal. Get ready for the day, buddy.
Hey, Dad. Hey, Dad. Do we have a gun?
What's that?
Do we have a gun?
Going into the 5th year of the Shaka Smart era, Marquette has been on quite the roller coaster. Under Coach Smart, Marquette has made a tournament appearance every year, and last season the Marquette faithful were riding that roller coaster when the team placed 5th in the AP polls in early December. But after going 13-7 in conference play and finishing the season with a 23-11 record, the Golden Eagles entered the Big East tournament as the 5th seed. They went on to finish 5th in the Big East tournament after losing to St. John's in the semifinals 63-79. Afterwards, Marquette basketball would enter the Big Dance as a 7 seed, where they'd face off against the New Mexico Lobos. But the Lobos stepped up to the plate, and the music faded as Marquette's dance came to an end after just the first round. And with that loss came goodbyes as Marquette legends Cam Jones, David Joplin, and Stevie Mitchell hang up the blue and gold. And even despite those losses, Shaka continues to stick to his guns, or rather his own players. Victory, relationships, growth, and victory are the words the Marquette fan base have gotten oh so used to, and that philosophy will surely be put to the test this season as Marquette doesn't look to the transfer portal for an answer. Instead, it'll be Chase Ross, Sean Jones, and Ben Gold who will shoulder the load. Ross is the only Marquette player going into the season to be named to an All-Big East team, Ben Gold now enters his second season as a starter after averaging 7.3 points and 4.3 rebounds a game last year, while Sean Jones is set to return to the court after missing all of last season while recovering from a torn ACL. And while Marquette fans may be disappointed in that approach, especially after the previously mentioned departures of Jones, Mitchell, and Joplin, it's that same approach that has produced NBA-level talent like Olivier Maxence Prosper, Oso Ighodaro, and even Tyler Kolek. And now the Golden Eagles find themselves ranked 5th in the preseason's Big East coaches poll and unranked in the AP poll, marking the first time since the 2022-23 season. With the season set to start next Monday when Marquette tips off versus Albany, we'll have to see whether or not Marquette's ride is still rising or if that roller coaster is inching toward a drop. That's all we have for you tonight. For Ben Ward, I'm Adrian Fraga. Good night, Marquette.